Something extremely important just happened, and I need to share it with you guys.
I just can't get on I can't be in something where Mr. Bitcoin is about to go down big.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, Jim Cramer, the guy who is always wrong, just said that Bitcoin is about to go down big. But there's a very important caveat. And that is that it'll only happen though, right? Because he's always wrong, but it'll only happen the moment that you give up. Realize this, the moment you give up, the bull run will start. Do it for the rest of us, just give up. I've said this, and a lot of people seem to agree over on Twitter. Isn't that the story of a lifetime, though? Everything's going bad every single day until you decide to give up and things just all of a sudden start doing amazing. My point being, though, we all know, we all understand where the bull market is headed, or rather, where the crypto market is headed towards a bull market. It's nearly here, basically. CZ, the Binance CEO, says multiple all-time highs are likely after the 2024 Bitcoin halving. And again, even he confirmed my theory right here that you should give up. So if you've been thinking about giving up, please do it for the rest of us. Because the moment that you do, hopefully it'll be a good time for us all. And I've said in the last couple of videos that I've been noticing a crazy amount of people give up recently, but unfortunately, you haven't yet. So please do consider. All jokes aside, have you guys seen that show, 𝗕𝗘𝗪𝗀𝗀𝗃? The reason I'm putting that up here is because, man, this whole Sam Bankman-Fried situation is turning into a movie-like material. I mean, the whole trial, it's not being televised. I've been watching some updates from different people attending it, though, over in New York. Sam Bankman-Fried had a tweet thread prepared for a possible Alameda shutdown in September of 2022. Now, you might think, hey, that ain't that smart, buddy. You shouldn't have done that. But a lot of this is coming to light because Miss Caroline Ellison is snitching on him. And they're going deep. Sam Bankman-Fried's legal team digs deep into Gary Wang's $300 million Alameda loans testimony. These guys are ratting each other out like crazy. And I mean, it makes sense when the charges are this severe. And when nobody is, man enough to take the blame here. And when your company was a mess like this, to this degree. But what makes it more funny, and what makes me put this up, is this right here. Sam Bankman-Fried hoped to be the U.S. president someday. And I believe he said he had about a 5% chance that he'd actually become president at some point. Which, I'm not sure this was necessary for her, his ex-girlfriend, to share. And then again, to push away blame from yourself, you're just gonna basically throw your ex-boyfriend under the bus. I mean, it kind of makes sense, right? She admitted she committed a lot of fraud, but it was in action of Sam Bankman-Fried. And a note of that, Tiff just had a funny picture. Oh, I'm not sure why I stumbled there. Oh, F. You're gonna make me use customer funds. Yeah, that's a nice joke. If you understand, you understand. I mean, this whole woman is a joke, to be honest.
Yeah, absolutely could pull it off without my math degree. Use very little math. Use a lot of elementary school math. Being comfortable with risk is very important. We tend not to have things like stop losses. I think those aren't necessarily a great risk management tool. I'm trying to think of a good example of a trade where I've lost a ton of money. Well, I don't know. I probably don't want to go into specifics too much with that.
Stop! I decided to cut my video there because I was actually going on a tangent about this woman for another 10 minutes or so. But in reality, I don't really care. And neither should you. Like I said at the start of the video, go look for some gains and stop caring what happens to people like this, because at the end of the day, they've already taken the funds and just watching their punishment won't really change too much. And the reason I'm saying that is because, I mean, there's so much corruption, so much shenanigans going on in the background. This whole FTX debacle was getting a lot of media attention, but in reality, it's only a very small piece of the pie. To give you an idea, all right? I don't want to get canceled for this, but I need to share it. Breaking. Here is every U.S. politician in Congress who currently holds stock positions that directly benefit from the WAR in the world. Let's just put it like that. I don't want to be too specific right here. And you can see a little list. We've said before that whenever there is war, the people that are on the upper echelon, the rich, usually, for the most part, only get richer. There's many good books on the business of war and many good films on that, but I'm presuming you guys all already understand the value proposition there. Anyway, it's always interesting to me how guys like Gary Gensler, They're trying, right? No, they're not. I mean, they all know, Gary Gensler and whatnot, they all know what's going on, but they're not combating it. And, I mean, from a certain perspective, I feel for these people in Congress where they've got all the information to make tons of money, make billions of dollars or hundreds of millions, and they're not allowed to do it. You know how difficult that is for a human being to see the opportunity to make millions upon millions of dollars, but just because it's unethical, you're not doing it? Most of us can resist, but apparently in Congress, those people can't. And so I'd personally say, because we already know from the basis that the moment somebody sees they've got all the inside information, they've got all the opportunity, and they've got a good starting base salary so they can actually invest money, if we all know those parts, that they will almost always actually find a way to invest in the right thing, the right vehicle, because they understand the policy better than others. Shouldn't we make that a priority to go after instead of just the small fry? Gary Gensler, today, with the SEC, adopted final rules to shorten the deadlines by which beneficial owners of a company, those who own more than 5% of a company, must inform the public of their position. And I mean, they're making good steps, certainly. They're making, some small baby nice steps. But in reality of things, this is really wacky. I mean, for the most part, these guys are getting off scotch-free. And honestly, guys, I bring this up a lot, right? I bring up the idea a lot that they're going as the SEC, but even other agencies around the world, against guys that mainly are not really doing the wrong thing, or rephrased differently, the SEC and entities of this sort mostly have it wrong with who they're going after. I think, for example, putting pressure on Binance is one thing because they've got so much of the market share, right? But in reality, going after a lot of those smaller platforms where you can actually feel misconduct, going after some of those hackers where you've got a lot of information, or working with exchanges to find out more stuff, is, I'd say, a lot more beneficial than trying to fish, trying to throw out those hooks where thousands of hooks have already been thrown, and where it's hardest to catch something. What I mean with that is, with FTX, they had a really direct line, right? Gary Gensler knows Sam Bankman-Fried pretty well, be connected to parents, etc., etc. They had pretty good methods to gather information, especially from the perspective of FTX had a U.S. subsidiary, so it's a U.S. exchange. The SEC is trying to protect U.S. investors so they can ask questions. And if they did this for proper rulemaking and FTX said no, even though they wanted to now set some rules in place for crypto exchanges, that would have been a really weird thing for the FTX, or I guess any exchange, to do. But right now, what they're not doing is making rules. They're just making, allegations and stabs and throwing out fish lines. When I think either of those two is fine. Either go after a lot of the guys at the bottom that are doing faulty stuff and not trying to fish for just the big headlines, because you've missed one of the biggest headlines ever with FTX. So apparently that's not the best method because, it didn't work out like we saw. Or perhaps take it a different step, rethink or reevaluate how exactly you're protecting U.S. investors. It's not only by going after crypto companies or things like that. It's a lot easier to just look internally. Why are the SEC guys doing all this crazy stuff with insider trading? And we've seen guys like the actual Bill Hinman, Jay Clayton, even Gary Gensler, all having some strange motives for doing their actions. Why not look internally first? I mean, I guess if I was Gary Gensler, I wouldn't either because you're looking at yourself. But Coinbase insider trade, when, again, I see those articles, I think, shouldn't you think about the SEC's insider trading first and then reflect outwards? Because what inherently is hurting investors the most when you can't trust the agency that's supposed to rule over all of us, or if one player does something which everybody else does as well, but he just is stupid about it? Because as I said before, I think most agencies will always have insider trading because the money is too easy and it's almost impossible to catch. Hence the reason they're going after these small fish and easy to catch fish, because they're just being really stupid about it. Whereas within the SEC and other agencies, they're pretty smart most of the time, right? Unless they all of a sudden get themselves, $200 million on a $200K a year salary. But yeah, I've got so much content on the SEC strange policy and the SEC strange actions. There's right now a big battle with the whole Coinbase case here. I might cover that a little bit later, as people have got some heavy opinions on what the SEC is doing with Coinbase, but there's also a lot of pushback right now as we speak, so most likely I'll have to dive deeper into that in another video, because this goes pretty deep. But I'd say that's it for right now. If you enjoyed the video, make sure you press the like button, and if you think the SEC is garbage, let me know down below.